Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm going to begin shortly, but before that, can everyone just give me some feedback? Do y'all hear any kind of beeping or alarm noises in the background? Okay, very good. Well done. All right, I will begin in 10 minutes, so hang tight. All right, I'm going to get a drink. I'll see you guys very shortly, okay? Today, we're going to be doing comprehension. So, if you have, very good. Thank you, Javen. Thanks, the team. If y'all have your um, MC Test 5, the comprehension passage on heroes, please have it with you. We will need to annotate and we'll need to write down our answers onto MC Test 5. If you have MC Test 5, please stand by MC Test 5 because we'll be working off MC Test 5 comprehension passage on heroes for today's lesson. Okay, so please stand by. Okay. Hello. Hello, Ashton. Hello, Charlene. Hello, Sishan. Hello, Ziting, Javen, Shaden. All right, good morning, everybody. We will begin very shortly in about 2 or 3 minutes time. Let's just allow a few more people to trickle in. Today's lesson is on comprehension. and I will need all of you. Hello, Joyce. Welcome for joining us. Thank you. Today we'll be doing comprehension based off of your MC Test 5. So if you haven't done so yet, stand by your writing materials along with your MC Test 5 comprehension. Remember that MC Test 5 is your holiday homework, so do try to finish the entire paper. But today we are just focusing on the comprehension, okay? If you are going to attempt the answers, please do it in pencil because I'm going to go through the answers as I would answer the questions later, so you can follow along with me, all right? All right, welcome everybody. Okay, let's just give the rest another 2 minutes to trickle in. Then we will begin our live stream proper at as close to 11 o'clock as we possibly can. Right? How's everybody doing this holiday? I hope you've had a restful time. Not too much tuition and not too much work, I hope. Right, let's just give the rest some time. You can stand by something to drink. You can have a snack while we're doing this. I'm perfectly fine with that, right? That's the advantage of not being in a classroom. We can be relaxed, we can be comfortable, we can have a snack or have a drink while the lesson's going on, all right? All I ask is that you pay attention in the course of this lesson, but as I'm going through the questions and the answers, do feel free to take a break, relax, and come back into it, all right? Okay, that's great. Today, like in previous days, I will be asking for some responses. So you can respond through the YouTube live stream chat or through WhatsApp, and I'll try to respond to your answers and give you some feedback, which is the advantage of having this live stream, all right? So let me just go grab my phone and I'll be right back and we can begin the lesson then, all right? So those of you who've just joined in, remember to stand by your MC Test 5. We're doing a passage on Autry, the heroes comprehension passage, all right? I'll see you all shortly. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining us for this live stream this beautiful Friday morning. It's the last weekend before school reopens on Monday. I hope that you've had a restful time. And in order to check that everybody is logged on, you can hear and see me clearly. Can you please spell the word let's see. Can you spell the word ginger? Ginger. Can you spell the word ginger in the live stream or on a WhatsApp chat group so that you... All right, very good. You can show me that you can hear and see me. Ginger. Yep, very good. Thank you. Awesome. All right, great. Oh, hello, Jiaxuan. Excellent. Good job. All right, great. So I guess we are all logged in from wherever we are and we are all able to hear and see each other, so to speak. At least you can hear and see me. All right, today we are going to be talking about comprehension and we're going to be looking at how we answer questions in a way that fulfill the requirements of each of the questions. Now, we know that in comprehension, we generally tend to be a bit careless because we give only partial answers that do not fully give the requirements that the questions require of us, right? So today I'm going to cover some of the ways in which I ensure that I make my answers complete and not partial, okay? So follow along with me. like I just mentioned at the beginning of today's live stream, I'll be basing my exercise today off of your comprehension passage from MC Test 5, which should be in your home-based learning folders, all right? So if you haven't done so yet, I'll give you a couple of seconds. Please grab your MC Test 5 and turn to the comprehension passage. I attached the passage on our group chat and to your parents, so you should have had some time to read and be familiar with the story. So without further ado, I'm not going to cover the revision from what we did in the last 2 live streams, but basically we talked about show, not tell, and star, right? So I'm not going to go into that. I don't want to spend too much time with revision. And let's just get down to our comprehension lesson for today. Now, I will be, by the end of this lesson, covering all 10 questions of MC Test 5 comprehension. So please do me a favor and scribe your answers into your MC Test 5. I will not be calculating the marks for this test. This will be just a test where we model how we apply the strategies for answering comprehension questions effectively. All right, so don't worry about that. You can try before I give you the answers to each question, but please use a pencil so that it will be more tidy when you do finally scribe the answers. Follow along with me as you annotate the questions and highlight portions of the text from the comprehension passage, okay? So you should have a highlighter, you should have your pens on standby and ready. Okay, let's begin with what we mean by reading with meaning. All right, so when we talk about reading with meaning and reading a passage, we generally read comprehension passages for 3 main reasons, right? We either read for pleasure, which is just to enjoy the text, right? In the meantime, as we're reading it for pleasure, we also generally read for learning. So we're trying to learn the language, we're trying to explore new words, and we're trying to get new ideas from what we are reading. So that's reading for learning. And finally, and much more relevant to what we're doing today, is reading for information, right? So we're specifically looking for some information from the text that we are reading because we've been asked certain questions, right? So comprehension is basically answering questions that have been asked about the text. So how well we understand the text will determine how well we understand and answer the questions, okay? So in today's exercise, I'll be focusing more on reading for information, right? So it's information we're after today, and we will be looking at how we can answer questions in a way that would maximize the amount of marks we can gain from answering these questions, all right? Okay, good morning everybody, and let's carry on with the lesson today. I'm glad to see that more and more of you are joining in. Welcome. This morning we're doing comprehension, and I've just finished introducing reading with meaning, right? So let's take a look at today's text. Now, the interesting thing about today's text is that it's actually a hybrid text, right? I know that the word is kind of blocked because of my face, and the text is kind of blocked because of my face, but you all have access to the text. You should be able to kind of see it clearly, okay? Maybe what I can do is shift. Yes, I think I'll do that. I will shift my image so that I can be more clearly seen. Let me see if I can move myself over to this side and maybe minimize the size of my window. Would that help? Let's see if it works. Okay, right. I think that under the circumstances is the best I can make it, right? So I was saying this is hybrid text, which means that it's actually a combination of 2 different types of text. It's an information text. It's about heroes. And it's also a recount because it has, in the middle of this story, a recount of an encounter by one of the characters whose name is Autry, right? So you'll find that in the real world, you don't generally just have one text type, right? You generally have combinations of text types when you're reading, right? There'll be some information, there'll be some recount, there'll be some narrative mixed in, and there might even be some poetry, right? So those of you who read storybooks, you'll find that in the middle of a narrative, they might include some poetry or some verse, okay? So hybrid texts are actually very common. And this is an example of one of them, all right? So I'm going to be looking at the questions and I'm going to be linking them to the text, okay? So I'm trusting that you've already read this passage and we'll go into the question, okay? So the first question is, which three-word phrase in paragraph 1 has the same meaning as admire? Now, just to note here, please highlight or underline the words three-word phrase. So remember, we are looking at three-word phrase. If you give me a two or four-word phrase, the answer would immediately be incorrect, okay? So the next thing is, I'm looking for a three-word phrase that corresponds to the meaning of admire. And it's 1 mark. So I just need to pluck 3 words out of the passage that has the same meaning as admire. And it must be 3 words consecutively, meaning the 3 words are together. They aren't found in different parts of the passage, okay? It's a 3-word phrase, meaning it's together. So why don't I stop here and let's start with something really easy. Look through the passage. It's in paragraph 1. So I'm only looking at this paragraph here. This paragraph, paragraph 1. Look for 3 words that has the same meaning as admire. All right? And let's see who is the first person to correctly identify the 3-word phrase. You can type it in your WhatsApp chat or in the live stream in YouTube, and I'll respond to you as quickly as I can. Very good. Well done. Wow, that was fast. Okay. Thank you, Ziting, Shaden, Charlene, Reese. All right. Okay, no problem. All right, Alison. Right, I can see you're using your brother's account. No worries. Welcome. Very good, Joyce. Javen, yes. Jared. Okay, very good. Thank you. Jaden Teo. Yes, Jaden Liao. Excellent, Oscar. Okay, so I think this is quite easy, right? Ashton, good job. Look up to. And of course, you realize that actually look up to is a kind of phrasal verb, right? It's a kind of phrasal verb. Look up to has this idea about admiring, even though the words look and up and to do not combine to give you that meaning. It's a phrasal verb, right, in definition. So yes, very good. Well done, okay. So the answer is over here in this first paragraph, and it's look up to, right? So that's our first answer, quite easy. You realize that in all comprehension passages, especially PSLE, the first 1 or 2 questions are always linked to the first paragraph, and the next 2 or 3 questions are linked to the next paragraph, and so on and so forth. There's a logical sequence to the questions, and they correspond to the paragraph order of the passage. So be a little bit careful that your answer belongs to the corresponding section. All right, so in this case, it's stated paragraph 1. All right, let's move on to the next question. Once I've given you the answer, Alison, you can write it down in pen. Right, but while you're attempting it, while you're trying it out, you can use a pencil, just so that later on it's easier for you to just write down the correct answer in pen, okay? Yeah, so you can use a pen once I have confirmed that that is the correct answer. Okay, excellent. Okay, let's see. Okay, all right. All right, no worries. Okay, if you're not able to catch today's live stream, by all means, please let me just reassure you that I'll be posting this as a video on Edmodo. Okay, right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, all right. So the next question, explain clearly the difference in the way most of us define heroes as compared to psychologists. Okay, so this is a comparison question, and the key word here is difference, right? It's difference and compare. Meaning, whenever we have a comparison question, there must be 2 different groups that we are comparing. So my answer must contain 2 groups in order to get 2 marks. And that's why it's a 2-mark question, right? Because it's the most of us compared to the psychologists. And the way we define heroes will give us 2 marks. The difference, the comparison between the 2. Okay, so be very careful with comparison questions, right? There must be a comparison between the 2 groups that we are looking at. So why don't we just go ahead and try this out? How would I compare the difference between how would I or most of us define heroes as compared to psychologists, right? You'll find the answer in the first paragraph as well, right? So this is the first way in which we define heroes, right? People like us, right, define heroes in this way. And then, what about the psychologists? Remember, we have to compare, right? So the psychologists, again, I'm looking for the keyword psychologist, and I find it in the text over here. And this is how psychologists would define heroes. So you can see here that there's two definitions compared side by side, but I need to phrase my answer in a way that answers the question. So I have to explain clearly the difference, right? So what is the difference, right? So most of us define it this way, but psychologists define it this way. So I would use the word but in order to show the difference between these two definitions, all right? Okay, Shaden has used the word while. Okay, good. That's a possible answer as well. Okay, Shaden, be very careful because your first answer is incomplete. So someone who helped them or someone they look up to. Can you see here? Right? Someone who helped them or someone they look up to. So a hero can be someone we look up to or admire. All right? It may not be someone who directly helps us. Right? So that is important because the definition is different there. Both the psychologists and all of us define heroes as people who help them. But the difference is that we also define people we look up to as heroes. So for example, if I look up to a Korean pop idol, if I look up to BTS, for example, they would be my heroes. But have they helped me? No. So Shaden, I would mark you incorrect because you did not add in the most important part of the story or most important part of the definition. This is why we need to be very careful when we answer the question. We've got to read the question, the difference, right? The difference. So this is how I would answer the question. But Shaden, thank you for trying and being so quick, right? So we define heroes as people who help us or whom we look up to, right? So that's first part. But psychologists define them as people who willingly put their lives in danger to help someone else. So notice I am comparing with the use of the word but. Shaden used the word while. That can also be acceptable. But can you see here, if I leave out the part about someone we look up to, my answer will be incomplete or incorrect, okay? All right, however, Javen can also be a good word to show the contrast. Very good. Okay, very good. Okay, Oscar. Yes, okay. Charlene, that's correct. Very good, Joyce. Excellent. Well done. Okay, so I think most of you kind of get the way to compare. But remember, whenever you see the word compare or the difference between, be very alert because it's usually going to be a 2-mark question and you're going to need to show the difference or the comparison between two groups that the question is asking for. In this case, it's the psychologist and most of us, okay? Very good, well done. Excellent, okay? Very good. I think most of you got it. So there must be two things. If you don't have all the ingredients, you can get 0. Because remember, it's a comparison question. The moment you don't show the difference or the comparative difference between the two, you stand a very grave risk of getting 0 out of 2 marks. And here is where they differentiate between students who are able to understand a question and students who only have a partial understanding of the question. And in this case, partial answers can get a 0 mark. Okay, so be very careful here. Comparison questions are planted to kind of trick you into answering partially. So be very thorough in the way that you answer and remember to compare the two groups, okay? So I hope you learned that. Comparison questions, very tricky. Now let's move on to the next question, all right? State one difficulty that researchers face when they compare a normal person to a hero. So this is quite an easy question, all right? So it's one difficulty, right? The keyword is one difficulty when they compare a normal person to a hero, right? So I'm only looking for one difficulty, but the key here is that I must understand what the text is saying. So it's a 2-mark question. And the reason why it's 2 marks is because in order to answer this question, I have to understand the word baffled. Okay, so I'm going to pause here for a moment, and I'm going to ask all of you to kind of guess, or without checking on an online dictionary or on your phones, kind of look at the context, right? Researchers are baffled by what makes a hero act differently from a normal person. In fact, researchers find it easier to understand what causes people to act in an evil manner than in a heroic manner. So they find it easier to understand evil than it is to understand heroic behavior. So what does this suggest about the word baffled? Can anyone kind of, yes, okay, so kind of like surprised, shocked, confused, very good, yes, exactly, right? They don't understand, yes, Javen, perfect, right? So they're shocked, they're astonished, they don't understand, they don't really know how to kind of explain why heroes act differently than normal people, right? So yes, exactly, shocked and surprised, all right? Be very careful how you spell the word surprised. Shaden, be careful, you tend to spell the word surprised wrongly. It's S-U-R-P-R-I-S-E-D. Be very careful there. Be slow in the sense that you want to be careful, all right? So don't rush and spell the word wrongly, okay? Surprised with a D, Jared, all right? Shocked and surprised. So in this case, if researchers are baffled or they're not really sure, uncertain, shocked, confused about how heroes act differently, then what is the difficulty, right? The difficulty is that they have problems, they have trouble, right? They are unable to or uncertain about how to explain what makes a hero act differently from a normal person, okay? So in this case, I have to explain the word baffled, okay? I cannot just plug the word researchers are baffled by what makes a hero act differently from a normal person and put it there. I've got to explain, right? So they find it difficult to understand what makes a hero act differently from a normal person, okay? So in this case, right, if you just write researchers are baffled by what makes a hero act differently from a normal person, you would get 0. Why? Because I have to explain the difficulty, right? So the word here is difficulty, right? Difficulty. I have to explain why baffled presents a difficulty. So notice when I answer the question, I use the keyword from the question in my answer. They find it difficult to understand. They're baffled, right? They don't understand. What makes a hero act differently from a normal person? And this key, difficult to understand, this key is what makes my answer fully correct with 2 marks, okay? So I'll give you some time to consolidate your answers. I've gone through 71, 72, and 73. Please take some time to highlight, underline, and write down the correct answers for each of these questions. While you're doing so, try to learn and internalize how Mr. Pang is answering the questions in a way that gains the mark. So these questions are quite tricky. If you just lift the answer, you will not get the correct answer. So you've got to explain baffled, okay? All right, excellent. Is Mr. Pang going too quickly? Am I rushing through? If I am, please let me know and I'll slow down. If not, then please give me a thumbs up on the live stream chat so that I know that you are able to follow. Okay, excellent. Excellent. All right, good, good, good. Okay, great. Oh, hello, Megan. All right, excellent. I'm registering 26 viewers right now. That's great. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so at this point in the comprehension review, you should have highlighted and you should have underlined and you should have written down the answers as what you see me do in the passage and in the question. All right. Okay. Right, excellent. All right. So we're kind of coming to the halfway point, but let me move on now to the next question. All right. Excellent. Great. Everybody's okay. Wonderful. If you have any questions or if you're not sure about anything, please, or you have an alternative answer that you are wondering if it would be correct, please type it in the live stream or in the WhatsApp chat, and I will try to respond to you. Okay. Okay. Let me respond. Who is this? All right. All right. Excellent. Okay, let's move on now to the next question. Right, so in addition to bravery, integrity, and kindness, what two other traits does Dr. Farley think that heroes have? Okay, so traits refer to characteristics, right? Like kind of nature kind of thing. So in this case, bravery, integrity, and kindness have already been mentioned. The question's asking you for two more out of and other than these three. Okay, so let's go ahead and just underline the two other traits. So I'm looking for two traits and it's labeled 1 and 2, very kindly done so by the question. And it's 2 marks, so I'm looking for two words, just two words or phrases that answer the traits or characteristics. Okay. Just a very quick check with everybody. Does everyone tuning in have your MC Test 5? And are you looking at it right now? If you don't, could you please just indicate in the live stream so that I'm aware that you don't have it? It's okay if you don't. Okay, wonderful. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, yes. I think most of you. Yes, excellent. Okay. All right. Okay. Intelligent and a risk taker. Very good. I think you guys have got it. All right. So the two other traits are here, right? I cancel out courage, integrity, and kind nature because these are already mentioned as bravery, integrity, and kindness. So don't be thrown off. Courage and bravery are the same. Integrity the same. Kindness, a kind nature the same. So I cancel them out. I cannot use any of these three. I have to use the other two, which is, like you all correctly mentioned, intelligent and a risk taker. All right, excellent. Okay, so these are the two. Very, very easy, right? So far, so good. This question is quite easy. I shan't spend too much time explaining. Let's move on now to the next rather tricky question. Okay, so a bit of a warning. 75 is quite tricky. So let's take some time to look at it, okay? Right, so 75. What was Autry doing in New York one day? And this, all right, is what. Be very careful. Some of you have a tendency to answer where when you're asking for what. So that's why I always remind you to circle, underline, bracket, right? So circle the question word to remind you this is a what question. And what was he doing in New York? In New York, right? One day. So, all right, since I told you this is a tricky question and it's only 1 mark, why don't you try to answer, right? Before I go into explaining, all right? So go ahead, give it a try. Okay, very good, Jaden Sim. Intelligent and risk taker, good. Try 75. All right. Nope. Question 74, no need for full sentences, just a word or phrase, right? Okay, I'm going to wait for your answers to come in before I comment on it, okay? So Shaden, thank you for answering. Let's wait for the others to answer, then we'll compare and I will explain to you how much I would award you for each of your responses, okay? Right. Always be very careful. Do not be in a hurry. Think things through, right? Many of you have a tendency to be rather impulsive in the way that you respond. So be very careful. What was he doing? What was he doing? Right? Okay. Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 All right. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Excellent. Mm. 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 Siting, please rephrase your answer. Mm. Okay, by and large, looking good. Okay. Ha. Right, Jaden. Okay, Jaden Sim says he was waiting for the train at the subway in New York. Okay, so some of you have similar answers. He was waiting on the platform at the subway. Okay. Okay. Right. Let me go through what are the wrong answers. Okay, before I tell you what's the correct answer. Okay. He was waiting at the subway. Wrong. 0. He was waiting for the train to come. 0. He was waiting for the train at the subway. 0. Right? Can anyone tell me why all of those questions were wrongly answered? Right? Waiting for the train at the subway, waiting at the subway, waiting at the platform, waiting for the train at the New York subway, all wrong. Why? He was waiting on the platform. Wrong. Okay? Sanshrey, please. No, not really. It's not about the platform, right? It's about what Autry was doing. It was about what he was doing. What was he doing? He was waiting to board the train, right? So he was waiting to board the train. Let me show you, okay? So he was waiting on a platform. There are 75 people waiting on a platform, right? They were waiting in order to get onto a train, okay? Waiting for a train. I'm sorry, let me just modify that. Right. Sorry about that. Okay. Right, so he was waiting to board a train on the New York subway platform. So the keyword here, he is waiting to board a train, right? He is waiting, not waiting for a train. Can anyone tell me what's the difference between waiting for a train and waiting to board a train? Is there a difference? And what is the difference? I'm waiting. Is there a difference between waiting for a train and waiting to board a train? Yes. Yes, there is a difference, okay? There's a big difference, right? If I'm waiting for a train, I could be waiting for someone to get off the train to meet that person. So I'm waiting for a train to come in so that I can meet my friend, right? But is that why Wesley Autry was at the platform? No, he was waiting to get onto the train so that he could get somewhere else, right? He was waiting to get onto the train to travel somewhere else, like the 75 other people waiting with him, right? So, yes, exactly. Yes, right. Charlene, Allison, Shaden, Jared, okay? So waiting for the train, I'm just waiting for the train to arrive. Waiting to board the train, I'm waiting for the train to arrive and then going to get on it so that I can move with it somewhere else. So in this case, Autry was not just waiting for the train at the platform, he was waiting to board a train. So deceptive, tricky question, right? So a lot of you are going to write he was waiting on the subway or he was waiting for a train on the subway. So be very careful over here that you give the complete answer to the question, all right? So that's question 75, all right? He was waiting to board a train, okay? Right. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 76, all right? So this is a true-false question. Let's take a look at this. It is likely that brave and smart people are heroes. Let's begin with whether it's true or false, shall we? It's likely that brave and smart people are heroes. All right? Take a look at the two extracted texts that I've placed above it. You can kind of infer whether it's true or false. Okay, let's see. Charlene says false. Okay, good. False. Allison? False. False. Yep. Okay. False. Okay. So I think false. Very good. Joyce. Yes. Javen. Yes. Jaden. Yes. False. False. Exactly. Yep. So I think most of us will agree that it's false, but the challenge is in explaining why it's false, right? Yes, false. Okay, so you're absolutely right. Okay, it says here, a hero is intelligent and is a risk taker. So brave and smart, right? Risk taker is brave, intelligent is smart. So yes, hero is intelligent and smart. And many of us have this same characteristic. So many of us are like heroes. They are intelligent and smart. We are also intelligent and brave and smart. But what does it mean? Does it mean that we will act in a heroic manner when the situation calls for it? This is what is called a rhetorical question, right? So the answer is mostly quite clear, and the answer is no, right? Not all of us will act. Most of us will not, in fact, because it says here, out of the 75 people who stood on that platform with Autry waiting to board the train, only one person jumped onto the track, right? And that was Autry, okay? So the answer is clearly false, right? And how I explain this? Very simple. Many of us are brave and smart. So I've got to mention the fact that many of us are brave and smart, but we would not act in a heroic manner, right? When the situation calls for it. Like Autry is optional. You might want to mention Autry, but if you don't, you can just say many of us would not act in a heroic manner when the situation calls for it. Okay? And that's backed up by the passage. Right? It's very clear in the passage that out of the 75 people who stood on that platform and witnessed the young man collapsing, only one person jumped in. Yes, Shaden, that is an acceptable answer, okay? Some people might have the characteristics of a hero. Actually, I would say many people, but might not take the initiative to act in a heroic manner. Very good, well done. Okay, yes, I would definitely accept that answer. And the reason is because you have explained why it is false that brave and smart people are heroes. False, right? Because many people are brave and smart, but not all of them are going to act in a heroic manner, right? As we can see from the example of Wesley Autry. Okay, very good, well done. Okay, so I hope that this is quite a clear answer, but remember the reason must always support your true-false statement, okay? Your reason must always support your true-false statement, okay? Right. let's carry on with the next section of the same question. All right. So some commuters pushed a young man onto the track. This is quite clearly false, right? Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time with this. It's quite clear that it's over here, the answer, right? He suffered a seizure, right? So he wasn't pushed. That's false, right? He suffered a seizure and fell onto the train tracks, okay? So the keyword here is that he suffered a seizure and fell. He was not pushed, okay? So the word is fell onto the train tracks because he suffered a seizure. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. I shan't spend too much time with this particular question. Okay, I don't think any of us have any questions with this. All right, so let's move on to the next one very quickly. All right, please give me a thumbs up so that I can move on. If you're still writing your answer or highlighting the sections in the text, please give me a wait or hold on and I'll give you a little bit more time. Otherwise, thumbs up so I can move on to the next part of question 76. Excellent. Hold on. All right, I'm holding. All right, good, good. Thank you all for being so on task. Excellent. Well done. Good job. Thank you, Jaden. Sim and Liao, both. Zuting, good. Oscar, Megan. Okay, Reese, I'll give you more time as well. All right, Reese is ready now. Jared is good. Okay. Right. Excellent, everybody. Okay. Charlene and Allison, are you all good to go? Okay, Allison's good to go. Charlene, are you good to go? All right, excellent. Let's move on to the next question then, or rather the next part of the same question. Right, most of us would not jump onto the tracks to rescue someone who had fallen there, right? So I'm pretty sure you all know the answer to this, all right? Right, because it says here, over here that only one person, right? Only one person. So out of the 75 people waiting on the platform, only Audrey jumped onto the tracks, okay? So this is the reason why it is true that most of us would not jump, all right? If we were part of that group of 75 people, we would certainly not be the ones to jump. At least I think so. If you are perhaps heroically inclined, then you might be one person to jump down like Audrey, okay? But in most cases, right, the answer would be no. You'll probably be paralyzed with fear or will be rooted to the spot in shock, right? Because we're not really sure what's going on, okay? But Audrey's instinctive reaction was to actually jump onto the tracks, okay? So out of 75 people waiting on a platform, only Audrey jumped onto the tracks. And that supports the true statement that most of us would not jump onto the tracks. Okay. Yes, Shaden, the answer of 75 is actually from the passage. So whatever appears in the passage, you can write in your answer. If the passage uses numbers, you can use numbers in your answer. But if the passage uses words to represent numbers, please follow what the passage does, all right? So you're safe. If the passage writes it, you can write it in your answer, all right? And you will not be penalized for it. I hope that answers your question, Shaden. Good. All right, excellent. Shanshrey, you're on a different level. Deontological and utilitarianism is not part of this discussion, so let's keep that to our private conversations on, morality and human nature. This is a comprehension passage for primary 6 pupils. Okay. Anyways, thank you for participating and spending your Friday morning with us. Everybody, if you don't know, Sanshrey is your senior of many, many, many years, who is now in Sec 4. Sanshrey, are you? Well. Well, that's what you say, Sanshrey. Jared Sanshrey is a boy and he is in Victoria School. Yep. Yep, some of you have met him, right? He came to give us a talk on Victoria. Those of you who were at the CEDA Victoria talk, you would have met Sanshrey and Hai Hui, right? They came together. So happy to see you. It's kind of amazing that you're still tuning in. I wonder who else is tuned in right now that's not from 6A 2020. Interesting. Very good. Yep, some of you remember Sanshrey. Okay, right, let's focus. If everyone is ready, can you please give me a thumbs up? Yes, Reese, you still remember, right? Thumbs up if you are ready to move on to question 77. All right. All right. Thumbs up. Very good. Excellent. Yep. Excellent. Okay, so leaving aside the deontological and utilitarian arguments, let's move on to question 77. Okay, so according to paragraph 5, what can be discouraging to us? So the tricky part here is to find the word discouraging, because actually this word discouraging does not appear in the passage. But you realize that there's a word that is very similar to it, right? And it carries the same meaning essentially. Can you all just type out the word from paragraph 5 that has the same meaning as discouraging before we even carry on to answer this question? Excellent. Thank you, Jaden Sim. I see your many thumbs up. Thumbs ups. Okay. Right, quick. Disheartened. Exactly. Thank you. Right, Reese? Disheartened. Right. You can tell from the form of the word, right? Discouraging, disheartened. Yep. Very good, Javen. Can you still remember what is the name of the section of a word that appears before the root word that changes its meaning? Remember, we learned about this. There are some sections that appear before the root word. There are some sections that appear after it. Bonus, if you can remember. Yay! Wonderful. So before is prefix, right? So a prefix of dis, dis, changes the meaning of the word to its opposite form. So heartened becomes disheartened. Encouraged becomes discouraged. Okay, so I change by using the dis, which is a negative prefix that changes the word to its opposite meaning. And what is the, yes, that's right, Reese, the section that comes after a root word is the suffix. And suffixes don't change meaning, they just change the word form. So ed, es, ing, these are suffixes that come to the end of the root word that change its form but not its meaning. So remember, prefixes and suffixes help us to guess meanings of words. And in this case, discouraged, disheartened, they share the same prefix. And therefore, they are very strong clues that show us these two words are related. And in this case, discouraged is disheartened. Prefix, suffix, remember, everything you learn in English comes together in comprehension and composition. So try to remember everything that you've learned so that you can apply it in your reading comprehension and your writing composition. Okay? All right, after having said all of that, let's get back to the question. Paragraph 5, what can be discouraging? So I found the word disheartened. Therefore, the answer should be within the radius of that word disheartened, okay? So looking at the keyword and finding the answer near to it is one of the tricks and one of the techniques of effective comprehension, okay? So 2 marks, what can be discouraging? So I'm looking for 2 parts because it's a 2-mark question. So I cannot just answer with 1 part. It has to be complete. So yes, encourage. Yes, that's right. Encourage is a prefix. Yep. To encourage, to add to the courage of someone. Yep. Yes, encourage. En is a prefix. Wonderful. Good question, Megan Quack, and good answers by Shaden and by Joyce. Okay. What other positive prefixes there are? Let's see. Pro. Pro is a very good example of a positive prefix. So I might say proactive, right? Promote. These are examples of prefixes that have a positive statement in addition to this. Okay, yep. En is another one. Enable, yep. Enable. Okay. Sorry, I think I spelled this incorrectly. Let me put proactive. Yep. Moat is a word, Reese, but it's not exactly a word that is by itself independently, and it has a different meaning. All right, so not all suffixes and prefixes can be broken away from the root word. Sometimes words have been joined to suffixes for so long that they become linked in an inextricable way, so they can't be separated anymore. Promote is actually a very good example of that. Okay. Proactive is another example, but in this case, proactive can be broken up into pro and active. So you could kind of see the prefix and the root words separately, but not all English words allow you to break them up anymore, right? So that's the way about English. Sometimes words get used so commonly together that they meld, they join, and they become one single word that can't be separated anymore. As in the individual parts lose their individual meanings and they kind of join together into one. So that's the interesting thing about the history of the English language, right? Many words from other languages are imported in, they get joined with other words, and they take on meanings that are different from the original forms. Okay, so that's if you want to, something you can study in university level. Okay, etymology is to do with the history of words and how they form and how they change over time. Okay, yes, the stream will end at about 12 p.m. That's right. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, let's move on. So how can we find this answer? Is disheartened? Wait. Right, I'll just cue you in, right? So I'm using the same word discouraging to answer discouraged, right? So I don't use the word disheartened, I use the word discouraging because that's the word in the question. Remember, the question is the king. I want to use the same words from the question to answer it. So we could be discouraged, right? So what can be discouraging? We could be discouraged. So I'm using the same words to answer, right? We could be discouraged because we do not think that we would jump onto the train tracks to save the young man when he fell. Okay, so 2 parts. We don't think we'll jump when we see the young man fall, right? So there are 2 parts to this. We are discouraged because we don't think we could jump when we see the young man fall. So that's kind of how I would answer a 2-mark question like this. And I'm using the same words in a question to answer it, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, there is an error there. Thank you for pointing that out. Let me delete that. Thank you. Right? Good. Well spotted. Okay, excellent. All right. Thank you for spotting that error. Let's move on very quickly. If you're okay with question 77, I'm going to move on to question 78. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Very quick. Thank you, Javen, Shaden, Reese, and Allison. Ashton is ready, so is the team. Good. Jared, Jaden Liao, Joyce. Megan, thank you. Awesome. All right, okay. Jaden, good job. Thank you. All right, let's go on to 78. This is pretty easy, okay? I think you can even guess the answer without really reading the passage, right? Okay, so very quickly, just give me the order. What's the first, what number should come first, second, and third? Yeah, all right, excellent. Okay, go ahead, give 78 a try very quickly. Mm. Hmm. Right, okay, it's 3, 2, 1, right? Okay, so let me explain why. First action, all three, together with everybody else on the platform, saw the train approaching, right? The train is approaching, and then the young man had a seizure, suffered a seizure, and fell onto the tracks, right? So when the young man fell onto the tracks, all three jumped onto the tracks immediately, right? So he jumped onto the tracks, and then he covered the young man's body with his own, and the train rushed past over them because they were right on the tracks, right? They were kind of like right below the train when the train rushed past. Okay, so it's 3, 2, 1. Okay, excellent. Okay, very good. So no problems there. Question 78. Let's move on to question 79. Okay, right. So the table below compares normal people like us with heroes. Fill in the blanks with the information from the passage. So this again is very, 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 very easy. Okay, so you should be able to find the answers from the passage. So our brains are wired to fight or flee. All right. So in this case, I think most of you would write the word flee, but take note of this word away, right? So if I put flee here, it wouldn't really make sense, right? Flee away is not an appropriate or grammatically correct phrase. What would I need to change the word flee into? Everybody, please type in your very quick, short answers in the live stream chat. Yep, that's right, Jaden Sim. You got it. I'm not going to say it yet though, because you're not with the mainstream. Okay, very good. Yes, 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 yes. No, Jaden, like I explained, flee away is not an appropriate phrase. So I need to change the word flee to run. But remember, in comprehension, you don't get penalized 4 grammatical errors. So if you write flee, I would technically give you a mark, but then it's not proper English. So please, let's not do that. Okay, it's run away. Okay, yep, run away, run, Ziting, not flee, run. Okay, good, run. Okay, exactly. Right, so run away, right? So that's normal people. What about the hero? Okay, what would the hero do, right? The hero's natural instinct makes him jump into a dangerous situation instead of fleeing. So instead of running away, what does the hero do? His brain tells him to jump into a dangerous situation. So I'm following exactly according to what the passage gives me. In this case, plucking the answer out of the passage and into your answer key is not wrong, right? You will get the full mark for that because that's exactly what the hero does. He jumps into dangerous situations where normal people would run away or flee. Okay, so quite a simple, easy to do section, and that's question 79 part 1. Let's go into part 2 now, right? Okay, no worries, Megan, if you need to go, I'll just finish up very quickly, right? So give me a few more minutes and I'll be done. Okay, so question 79, second part. This one actually is quite straightforward. Audrey does it in order to save. Oh, don't worry about it. Whether it's a big J or a small j is fine, okay? But yes, you're right, it should be a small j because I extracted it from the middle of a sentence. Jump, small j, okay? Yes, it will be posted onto Edmodo, Megan, don't worry. Okay, right, so most of us would take care of ourselves, but he acts to help others, okay? So this is quite straightforward. It's a logical answer, right? Normal people would take care of themselves. Heroes take care of others. Heroes take care of others, all right? So that's kind of the answer. Stay with me one last minute. Let me just go through the last question and I'll let some of you leave. I know that you have to go for your tuition. Thank you for spending this hour with me. Okay, last question. Would you like to be a hero? Right, and I'm just going to give you my answer. There are several possible answers, but very simply, I would take the answer straight from the end of the passage, right? And I would say, yes, I would like to be a hero so that I can catch a glimpse of the wonder of the human spirit. I can be proud to be a power. So I can actually rephrase the last sentence to answer the question because it just so happens that it does. This kind of a question, very rare. It's an easy last question, but in most cases in comprehension, the last question will ask you about your thoughts or feelings or your responses, and it tends to be more open-ended, and you can kind of answer, but you must always support with a reason or with a part of the text that appears in the comprehension. All right, so with that, I have finished modeling the entire comprehension passage, how I would answer it. You would find that at the end of your session, you have highlighted certain parts of the text, you have numbered it, you have underlined the questions, and you have highlighted the marks. This is the kind of method you should pursue in your exams. Okay, so at the end of your exams, you should see that all the sections on your text have been highlighted and all the questions have been annotated so that you know exactly what is the keyword to look out for, how many marks is allocated, and how you must answer the question. I hope that this has been helpful. And to answer Shaden's question, yes, please complete test 5. But I'm going to give you all the way until the end of next week. So the end of the first week of term 2 to finish test 5. But I will check on the first day of school that you have completed at least the comprehension section. So please bring along MC test 5 on the first day of school, term 2. Make sure that you've at least completed this comprehension section that I've gone through with you and that you've annotated and highlighted the relevant points. I will check because we've gone through quite a lot of trouble and effort to do this. Okay, so it's 12 o'clock. I bid you all farewell. Thank you all for paying attention. This will be the last live stream for this March holidays. If you find that you need specific help in certain sections like Charlene did, Charlene was the one that initiated this for comprehension. Thank you, Charlene. Anybody else, if you feel you need a section, let me know and I will help you with it, okay? Alison, do we need to do paper 1? Paper 1 for MC test 5? No. All right, so let me summarize for all of you who are still online. Holiday homework. you need to have done the show not tell exercise for the rollerblades. You need to have done your draft 1 for achieving a goal, right, and submitted it to Edmodo. And you need to also have there's one more on Edmodo, I believe. Okay, right, so basically just the show not tell for the rollerblades, the draft 1 for achieving a goal. Yeah, I think there's one more Edmodo assignment, and your comprehension for this MC test 5 that I've just gone through with you. Santre, thank you. I will contact you shortly. However, with the COVID-19 situation, I'm afraid that we can't have external guests coming into school very conveniently. So I'll let you know once the situation improves. I would love to have you come back with Hai Hui and a few of the other seniors to give talks to the kids as well. Okay, so thank you for joining in this morning and really being part of this discussion. I hope you gained something from it. Yes, thank you for reminding me, everybody. The last Edmodo assignment was the free writing on achieving a goal, right? So just 10-15 minutes of writing what's on your mind about achieving a goal. Okay, so I expect all these pieces of homework to be completed by the first day of term 2. Let me go through that again. 1, free writing. 2, show not tell for rollerblades. 3, draft 1 for achieving a goal. 4, comprehension passage annotated, answers written down as per our live stream today. These 4 pieces to be done and ready for checking on the first day of school on the 23rd of March, Monday. So please remember and help me to remind everybody else. I will send out a message to your parents as well to keep them informed of what I expect you to bring on Monday. Please leave your home-based learning files at home, but bring along your MC Test 5, bring along your Unit 3 booklets, which I believe I've also set homework for you to do, your vocab bites, your pages 4 to 8, your grammar exercises in your Unit 3 booklets of Death Before Dishonor. Bring that along. MC Test 5, Unit 3 booklet, and the Unit 3 reader, Death Before Dishonor, the passage on Lieutenant Adnan Saidi. All right, please bring that along on Monday as well as we come back for term 2. It's going to be the same. School will reopen. As of today, there are no plans for school closure, so please come back. Those of you who have traveled, I will advise you on whether you need to stay at home for a leave of absence. Likely you will need to. The rest of us, please keep healthy, please stay well. If you're unwell, go see a doctor, and hopefully I'll be able to see all of you healthy and ready for term 2. It's going to be a very busy term, right? So spend this weekend resting up and getting ready. Typically for primary 6 term 2, there's a lot to cover, there's a lot of revision to do, so I want all of you to be mentally prepared to put in some really hard work, but at the same time we'll try to structure some fun activities in the middle and at the end of the term as well. Okay, so thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you, you're very welcome. Loved having all of you. Okay, bye. I'll see you guys shortly. I'll end the live stream now.